Welcome to the podcast growth series. I'm your host, Rob Z. Today we're going to talk about launching like a pro. So this is a 6-part series for the launch and growth of your podcast. Get it off the ground, have it be streamlined, and find ways to find incredible guests and also monetize this platform and make money for what you're doing. All right, that's the goals in this program. Now, today we're going to talk about just the launch. How do we launch a podcast like a pro? I'm going to break down this series into six simple steps for you. So let's walk through this process because I want you to be able to get a podcast off the ground and actually have it be something that you do on a continuous basis that becomes a regular part of your life and a regular part of your business that helps you to grow, builds your expertise, and builds your authority. So right at the beginning of all of this, we've got to talk about your purpose. What is the purpose for why you're doing what you're doing? A lot of people start podcasts and they don't have a purpose behind what they're doing. They don't have a mission behind what they're doing. And that is a problem right off the bat because you're aimless, okay? Just an example, I started the podcast back in 2014. I did it for about 5 years. I had close to 500 episodes. And from the beginning, I struggled with purpose. It was kind of all over the place, okay? Right off the bat, I did have a purpose. Right off the bat, it was that I was going to talk about my favorite albums of all time. That lasted about 50 episodes. Then I was bringing friends on and they were talking about their favorite albums of all time. And I realized quickly, like, this is not where I want to go with this platform. So it lost its purpose and I never rerouted the course. Now, of course, there's people out there who have podcasts. The topics are all over the place, right? But if you want your podcast to really be impactful and mean something, you got to have it be about something. So in the beginning, I had mine about something, but it lost that purpose. It lost that direction. So now I recreated my podcast. It's called the Unstuck Movement. It's strictly about breakthrough, true testimonies of breakthrough in people's lives. That's the purpose. That's the mission. So what is that purpose for you? Why are you doing what you're doing? Figure that out for yourself. Set your intentions. Set your goals. Because a lot of people, it's sometimes difficult to make a goal for what we're doing. But if we don't have a goal behind what we're doing, how do we ever know what to aim for? How do we ever know what to shoot for? Why are we even doing this thing? Okay? Now, after you get the purpose, here's the crazy part. Now we're going to go with a name and a description. A lot of people want to pick the name of the podcast first, but listen, that part right there comes after you know what you're doing and why you're doing it. All right? So now what are you going to name it? Now, I've coached people in podcasting for years, and some people, the hardest thing for them to do, some people never even started their platform because they could not decide on a name. They could come up with 50 names. They couldn't pick one. This is where I encourage everybody to be super decisive. Do not spend more than a week trying to figure the name out. Just decide, go with it. If you don't like it, you can change it in the future. It's not the end of the world, but pick something and move forward. And then with that name, write a description. You have the purpose, you've got the name. Now write a 2-sentence description for what your podcast is about, so you can tell people what it's about. You know what it's about. When a guest comes on, you can tell them what it's about. And when you put this on podcasting platforms, you can put in the description what the podcast is about. Now, the next part, number 3, what is the structure? What is the structure of your podcast? Is it a 1-person show where you're just giving your knowledge and expertise? Is it a 2-person show, 2 hosts working together side by side? Are those 2 people going to be in the same room? Or are they going to be over Zoom, over the internet? That's going to be a differentiating factor. Is it going to be you interviewing other people? Will you be interviewing those people in the same room? Are you going to be interviewing those people on Zoom or over a digital platform? Or are you going to talk about stuff on the internet and show videos and show clips and show pictures and play audio off the internet and react to those things? So think about the structure of how you're forming your show. How long do you want it to be? And get that idea. Like I said, everything can change over time, but you want to have the ideas down right now so you can actually get started. That's the whole point. It's like setting goals. The goal and the direction of your goal might change over time, but you must at least first set it before you can even get started. Okay, so that's where our mind's at right now. Once we figure out the structure of what we're doing, what is the location going to be? And what is the location for your podcast, like the physical location where you're at? Right now, I'm in my office in my basement. I don't interview anybody in person on my podcast, so I do everything over StreamYard. I used to do it all over Zoom. So I get to talk to people digitally all day long, and that allows me to have this in my office. It's in the basement of my house. That's my location. Now, if you're going to have more people on, you might want to have a bigger room where you're going to need maybe 2 microphones, and a producer might be in the room. There might be camera people. I don't know what kind of setup you're going to be doing, but figure out the location. And just to give you an idea, like I said before, this is allowed to change over time, and it probably will, but you have to decide on something right now at the start. My podcast went from my old house in my basement to my old house in a closet to my office to another office to an apartment then that I was in, and now back to my new house here in the basement, my office studio where I'm at now. It bounced all over the place, but I had to start somewhere. So you must start somewhere. Pick that spot, pick the location, and then we put together the plan. So check this out, right? Your purpose comes first. Your name, description, get the structure down, get the location. Now, what's the plan for what we're doing? What is the plan for the podcast? And what does that mean? What is the plan? Well, how many episodes do I want to have already ready to go before I launch? I prefer 7 to 10 episodes already created and ready to go before you ever launch. And have at least 25 episodes planned out, okay? So that you're not week to week trying to scrounge up information, trying to scrounge up ideas, trying to get people, trying to make it happen. You have a plan for what you're doing. You have a direction for where you're going. That's where the purpose comes in, where the vision comes in. What the heck am I going to be doing in a year with this podcast? What would I like to be doing in 5 years with this thing? Where would I like this to take me? The vision for it, and maybe 10 years in the future. This can become something that is a part of your life, and it should be that way. If you're going to start it, why not have it be something that you're very intentional about, that you want to have make a big impact in your life? So what is that plan? What's the purpose for it? And then how are you going to plan that thing out? Now, number 6, I left for last. So number 6 on the list is the equipment and the platform. Hear me out on why I left this for last, because it's most likely the least important thing. I once was coaching a guy who was a podcaster. Well, he wanted to be a podcaster. He spent thousands of dollars, like $2,000 on equipment, but had no idea what he was going to talk about, let alone pick a name for the podcast. Guess what happened to that guy? He never actually pulled the trigger, and he sold all of his equipment because he couldn't decide. But he had all this amazing equipment. So before you ever do anything with equipment, because you don't need great equipment, right? If you can go high level, right? This is a Shure SMB7 microphone here. That's a standard, but you can record with as little as, your earbuds off of your microphone, or you could just use your phone and turn your phones up. Phones now have incredible microphones right built into them. They sound really good. You can use AirPods, whatever you want to use for equipment. For the visual, what you're looking at right now, it's a webcam. This is a Logitech 1080p, like $70 webcam. I'll eventually upgrade to like a DSLR or something like that, but not right now. It's great. It's on a little mini tripod on my desk, so it's mobile and I can move it around. I use my laptop to stream everything. Just to give you some insight, I'm recording this right now on OBS. OBS is free software you can download to your computer. I use StreamYard, which is, I have the deluxe plan. I pay maybe $50 a month. That's the platform that I use to upload my visual content, all of my videos for my podcast, and then I use Spotify for podcasters to upload the audio, which is absolutely free. There's no charge to it, okay? So that just giving you some background on how I do everything that I do. Very low-end equipment, nothing crazy. So use that, save that for the end. But what's your purpose? What's the name and description? What's the structure, the location, and the plan? Then get to the equipment. This is preparing you to launch like a pro. If this seems overwhelming to you, I'm going to give you some free juice right now to get you rolling. This is a 33-page podcast like a pro launch strategy guide. If you go to my website, robzwentz.com, you can download this free guide right now. Okay, this is 33 pages of everything we talked about, plus a whole lot more. Talking about your intentions, your goals, deciding your show topics. And as this thing loads up, you're going to find everything that you need in here. Your show structure, style, and format. Who is your listener avatar, picking your show name, We're going to be talking about writing out your show description, designing your podcast art, right? These are all things that you have to think about when you're launching a podcast. There we go. Buying equipment, recording setup. I want to hook you up with this thing absolutely free. All you've got to do is go to robzwentz.com and download it. I will catch you back here on part 2. Your homework is just to download that free guide. That's my gift to you, because I'm pumped, honestly, that you want to start a platform, that you want to start a podcast, because it could change your life, change your business, and change people's lives that you come in contact with. So do that now. Download it at robzwentz.com. Part 2, we're going to talk about streamlining your podcast for efficiency and success. I'll see you then.